We have seen that, at the opening of the fifth seal, God's work to restore man to his image would take place during and after the Protestant Reformation. Approaching the time for the opening of the sixth seal and the prophetic signs that would herald the events of 1844. Let's read Revelation 6, verses 12 and 13.
And I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, a great earthquake was made, and the sun became black as a sackcloth of sackcloth, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell on the earth, as green figs fall from the fig tree when it is shaken by a strong wind.
The spirit of prophecy will tell us when and in what year this sign was fulfilled. At the opening of the sixth seal, let us read the Great Controversy, page 349 to the 381.
These signs were seen before the beginning of the 19th century. In fulfillment of this prophecy, in 1755, the most frightful earthquake ever recorded was felt. Although it is generally called the Lisbon earthquake, it spread throughout most of Europe, Africa, and the Americas. A formidable wave swept the coasts of Spain and Africa, submerging cities and causing immense desolation. The sea retreated first and left the bar dry, then returned in a wave that rose as much as 50 feet above its ordinary level. A few hours later, fires broke out in different neighborhoods that spread with such violence for almost 3 days that the city was completely destroyed. The terror of the people was indescribable. No one cried. The incident exceeded the capacity to shed tears. They were all running to and fro, delirious with horror and fright, beating their faces and chests, crying, "Mercy! Mercy!" 25 years later, the second sign mentioned in the prophecy appeared: the darkening of the sun and moon. After this persecution, according to Christ's words, the sun was to be darkened. Well, on May 19, 1780, this prophecy was fulfilled. In the morning, the sun came out clear, but soon it became cloudy. The clouds thickened, and from the bosom of the darkness they boasted, lightning flashed, thunder was heard, and a light downpour was discharged. About 9 o'clock the clouds dimmed and, taking on a coppery tint, changed the appearance of the ground, rocks and trees to the point that they did not seem to be from our land. A few minutes later, a dense black cloud spread across the sky, leaving only a narrow edge on the horizon, and making the day as dark as it is in summer at 9 o'clock at night. After midnight, the darkness disappeared, and when the moon was seen again, it seemed to be blood. In 1833, the last of the signs appeared. This prophecy was fulfilled in a surprising and astonishing way with the great meteor rain of November 13, 1833. This was the most extensive and admirable spectacle of shooting stars that has ever been recorded. For over all the United States, the whole firmament was then, for hours at a time, in fiery commotion. Never did rain fall thicker than that in which the meteors fell towards the earth. East, west, north, and south, it was the same. In a word, the whole sky seemed in commotion.
These signs place us in the year 1833, anticipating the event of the investigative judgment, which has as its starting point in the year 1844, as the scriptures affirm and harmonize in Daniel 8, verse 14.
And he said to me, "Up to 2,300 evenings and mornings in the sanctuary shall be cleansed."
At the end of the Dosmal 300 days in 1844, accompanied by heavenly angels, our great high priest enters the Holy of Holies, and there, in the presence of God, he commences the last acts of his ministry for the benefit of man, namely, to accomplish the work of judgment and to make atonement for all who may prove entitled to it. As the books of memory are opened in the judgment, the lives of all who have believed in Jesus pass before God to be examined by Him. Beginning with those who lived first on earth, our advocate presents the cases of each successive generation and ends with the living. The Great Controversy, page 536 and 544.
This judgment is in two phases. The first is with the dead and the second with the living. In the period of the second phase is that the wrath of the Lamb is executed. And before the wrath of the Lamb is executed, the prophecy of Malachi 4 verse 5 has to be fulfilled.
Behold, I will send you Elijah before the great and dreadful day of the Lord come.
The promise of a messenger before the great and dreadful day, as stated by the messenger of the Lord in Testimonies to Ministers, page 475.
May heaven guide us. The prophecy must be fulfilled. The Lord says, "Behold, I send you Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful day of the Lord come." Someone must come with the spirit and power of Elijah. And when he appears, men will probably say, "You are too godly. You do not interpret the scriptures properly." Let me tell you how you have to preach your message.
Sadly, after the work of the messenger Ellen White in 1915, the Lord sends a messenger to prepare His people and deliver them from the day of the Lamb's wrath. But this messenger and his message is rejected, reaching in time the year 1930 of the sixth seal.